Every step forward brings new consciousness and awareness. And as proof of that, we see this uprise against France in West Africa. And they're telling the French to get out of West Africa. But immediately on the heels of the demand that the French get out of West Africa, they have turned their gaze to the United States and said, we don't want you either. We're not going to put the French out and welcome the U.S. in. We want all of you external military forces off of our land. And this is happening as we speak. So, in that regard, I want to try to give some context to the struggle that is being waged by African people outside of Africa. All too often, these things are presented as if they're separate things. You know, people are fighting in Africa, and then you have Afro-Americans and Afro-Haitians and Afro-Brazilians and Afro-Jamaicans and Afro-Panamanians. These are all misnomers. We are African people. And the African struggle is our struggle. When my comrades in Eritrea liberated Eritrea from the colonial yoke, that was my struggle. I say, okay, we have liberated Eritrea. We fought against apartheid in South Africa. We never took the position that we're supporting the liberation movements that are fighting in South Africa, because those liberation movements are us. That is our struggle. Let somebody who's not an African support the African revolution. We don't support the African revolution. It is our revolution. That's like telling me I'm supposed to support my mother. No, I don't support my mother. That's my mother. I'm her. She is me. We are one. And I raise this again and again and again and again because one of the reasons Africans in the United States don't understand what's going on is because they don't want to, I have to say they, but it's really we, which is kind of hurtful. They don't want to let go of their Americans. They want to be Africans and Americans. And when you put that America behind Africa, you are denying Africa. America is the reason you're in here. We had a program the other day, and our sister was talking about illicit financial flows. This is money that legally or illegally is being stolen from the continent of Africa and placed in banks in the West and financing these multinational corporations who are in Africa to make a profit. And I talked to her after the program and told her what we always have to remember is the first illicit financial flow was me.
That's right.
Was you. They turned you into a commodity and extracted you from Africa in order to not only serve as wealth, but to produce more wealth for the very people who dominate Africa. We African people are an illicit financial flow. And we need to understand it. So we come here today to talk about a meeting, and I'm going to break it down in some different kind of language because I think it's really important for people to understand, between Uncle Tom and Uncle Sam. Uncle Tom and Uncle Sam. And we know Uncle Sam. but we also know Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was not invented in the West. Because I remember he was sitting right next to me on the boat that stole me from Africa and brought me here. Negative contradictions are a part of our organic historical process. And as long as we're looking outside of ourselves for the cause of our oppression and exploitation, we will never understand that exploitation and oppression. We have to look at ourselves. We have to understand our history. We have to understand the emergence of the class relationships that existed when the Europeans came. We have to stop denying the fact that Africa had colonized and dominated Europe for nearly 800 years before Christopher Columbus came to our shores. There was no such thing as Europe. There was no such thing as Spain. It was when Ferdinand married Isabella that these European nation states began to concretize and then invest in a mercantile system designed to steal the wealth of the world. Christopher Columbus was lost, yeah. But what was he going to do? He thought he was going to India to steal their gold, to steal their diamonds, to steal their resources. That's why they sanctioned and financed the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. And y'all went to school here, so y'all remember them three ships. He was looking for wealth. When they came to Africa, they came looking for wealth. And that wealth was us. And they have been extracting the wealth from Africa ever since. So, we say a couple of things. One, the best way to fight for those who are outside of Africa, for the liberation of Africa, is fight against imperialism where you are. We Africans in the United States have a historic responsibility to contribute to the struggle to defeat imperialism. Africa cannot be free as long as imperialism exists, and imperialism will exist as long as the United States government and this illegal, racist settler colony continues to exist.
That's right.
Africa doesn't need us to come and pick up arms to fight against the imperialists in Africa. They are doing that. Africa needs us to organize ourselves to fight against imperialism in the belly of the beast. I just had a struggle with my sister. It wasn't really a struggle, it was kind of a joke. Because some of us have taken to calling the United States the United Snakes. And my position is that this is an insult to snakes everywhere. No snake ever came to Africa and stole slaves. No snake ever enslaved Africans. No snake ever established colonialism in Africa. No snake ever put his knee on your neck and had you yelling and shouting, "I can't breathe." This is not the activity of snakes. This is the activity of a beast. And it's not an animal. It's a human beast. It's a human construct. And we are living in the belly of that beast, and it's our responsibility to fight it. The All African People's Revolutionary Party, we are the children of Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Touré. We trace our legacy to Marcus Garvey and back to those who fought when they first arrived on the shores of Africa, back to those who fought on the slave ships on the way from Africa, back to those who fought on these shores as slaves against the slave system, and back to all of those who have fought against colonialism and various manifestations of imperialism. We are convinced that victory requires of the revolutionary and progressive forces to establish political and military coordination. We have got to work together. We have got to have a common political strategy that addresses the struggle of our people all over the world. Not coincidentally that we all align and then move in a common direction, but consciously that we organize together, that we bring out formations together at the level of our leadership, at the level of our membership, at the level of our masses, and coordinate our strategy to liberate our land, Africa, and to liberate our people wherever we are. This is a political process, and we are engaging and calling for all Pan-Africanist revolutionary forces to join us to establish an all-African committee for political coordination.